The worst thing you can do if you sell final expense remotely or at home is use Zoom as a part of your standard presentation strategy. And I'm going to tell you why coming right up. My name is David Duford. I own Duford Insurance Group. I train agents nationally to sell final expense, both face-to-face and over the phone remotely. And if you're interested in learning more about how that works, there's links above or below. And make sure you subscribe and like the video if you haven't already. So, why don't I like Zoom when it comes to remote final expense at home telesales? Well, here's the reason why. It's because the likelihood of you getting your prospect on Zoom and consistently closing that person is very, very small. Small enough that if you insist on using that strategy with final expense prospects, you're going to lose business that you otherwise would have won if you explicitly done a telesales type of presentation. Let me explain to you how I mean in the form of a story that is very typical across the board. I like to kind of refer to my clients as Mildreds. You know, Mildred, Miss Jones, Mildred. You can kind of picture that person in your mind. You know, an old granny, not very technologically savvy, nice enough lady, of course, but doesn't know how to do much beyond get on Facebook. And the only reason she's on Facebook is because her grandkid installed the app so she could see all her grandkids' pictures, right? So the problem with insisting that somebody who is not technologically savvy follow a technological process to selling means that at some point in the process, you're going to lose some of these prospects that would do business with you but cannot figure out for the life of them how to complete and get on Zoom to have a conversation. For example, this is very similar to why I don't recommend my remote final expense agents to use carriers that require a DocuSign or electronic signature process for their type of leads. Why? Because somebody might be able to use a smartphone, might be able to get on Facebook, even use an email, but they then have to send them an email signature to where they have to click a couple of buttons to complete the application. First of all, it breaks up the sale if you don't sit on the phone with them and walk them through it. Second of all, some people just don't get it. And you're going to lose money that you should be depositing in your bank account. And frankly, your client's not covered, so you've done nothing to help them. You've only hurt them because you insisted on a process that won't work about half or more of the time. So what you should be doing, guys, and what you should think about doing if you're selling remotely, if you're selling final expense over the phone, is how can I reduce the friction to the buying process? How can I make buying easy, not complex? And the way that I teach agents to keep the buying process over the phone and in remote fashion simple is by selling exclusively over the phone. You do not need anything more than your phone to communicate and make a connection with the prospect to then close them on a final expense policy. Likewise, you do not need an electronic signature process to close good quality final expense business. You need carriers that will simply allow for a verbal signature in the place of an electronic signature so your client can just verbally sign. Therefore, there's nothing required to go to a computer or a smartphone or mail anything in the mail, of course, to simplify the process of buying so that the client can actually get covered. These are all really important factors that not a lot of telesales agencies really teach. You've got to make the complex simple. And we're sitting down at your desk dialing away and you get a live one on the phone, you've got to be able to take that person from beginning to end closed with an application complete and approved. And any process in between that takes away from that or puts obstacles in the way is not a good practice in the telesales remote final expense business. So there's my thoughts on why you shouldn't use Zoom. Stick to the phone, talk to them, works just fine. If you'd like to learn more about joining Duford Insurance Group to sell final expense over the phone remotely, click the links above or below to learn more. And thanks for always, as you always have, to watch my videos, even when I screw the script up. All right, guys, thanks.